Hi, I'm Luke from Flair, and you're watching Forward Thinkers. In this episode, we speak to Amy Oplinger Singh, a leading light and trusted voice within the Salesforce community. So sit back and relax as we discuss Salesforce career paths, becoming an MVP, and more. We hope you enjoy.
So, first of all, Amy, thanks a lot for joining us on the Flair Forward Thinkers series. This is where we're going to talk about just the leading lights within the Salesforce and HR community. And thanks for taking the time to chat to us.
Thank you for having me.
So, you're a Salesforce MVP 3 times. You're Salesforce certified 8 times. How did you get your start within the Salesforce ecosystem?
I started by accident, like a lot of people in the ecosystem. I was in sales. I loved sales, and through being a salesperson, used a lot of different CRMs. And it wasn't until I worked for a company that used Salesforce that I was like, well, this is fantastic. Now I'm like driving a Corvette when I was driving a Hyundai before. And that was fantastic while I worked for that company. And then I went for someone that didn't use Salesforce, and I complained to my manager, hey, have you heard of Salesforce? We should look at it. It's fantastic. And they took my advice. And then they told me that I was going to help the consulting team implement it. And I had no IT background, but out of my mouth came, okay. And I worked with the consulting team there and really kind of spent my nights learning the back end of Salesforce. Back then, there wasn't Trailhead. It was a Force.com workbook. So I had printed the book. I still have that to this day, and kind of taught myself the back end and really loved what I was doing. And at the end of the implementation, I asked, hey, can I be the Salesforce administrator? And was told, no, you're going back to sales. We're going to put this into IT. So I was kind of devastated. And I wasn't familiar with the greater Salesforce community. I'm in Ohio. It wasn't a lot of chatter around Salesforce at that time. So I didn't really know where to go from there. So I kind of just had it in the back of my mind until I decided to make the leap and just revise my resume and say, let me see if I can find something, because I'd really like to do this rather than what I was doing. And lucky for me, I put my resume up, and about 2 weeks later, I was on my very first project for GE Lighting Cleveland, and I was tasked with revising their training program for 200 new AEs. That 30-day project turned into a 7-month project because I made connections within the company and really focused on the relationship building there, and they asked me to stay. So it was really kind of like my Salesforce boot camp, I'll take it, or I like to say. So that's how I got my start, pretty much by accident.
Yeah, it's kind of, I think it's a few people have kind of said that to me as well. Like for you, like it seems like you took to it like a duck to water. Like other people might be a little bit overwhelmed, like of, the Salesforce world. There's so much going on. Like, what would be your advice to people who are kind of just dipping their toe into the world?
One thing that I would advise people, it's a very different market now than when I joined. So I think new people to the ecosystem now are having a bit more of a difficult time than I did, because, Salesforce marketing has done a great job of advertising this career path. And so now what I would do differently is really focus on the skills that I had that can translate. Really, if you're going after what you're interested, whether it be sales, marketing, analytics, development, these roles are across any business team in corporate America or the world. I would avoid kind of pigeonholing yourself as I'm an admin or I'm a developer very early on. I would really keep my knowledge broad. And then as I got into and started working more, kind of focus on a specialization. Once you know what truly excites you. I immediately started as a consultant. So I didn't really know the other avenues. And as I worked more in the ecosystem, I got to understand that honestly, anything that you are passionate about or that you have interest in, there is a role for you in this ecosystem, because it's not only just being an admin or a developer. I say just, I don't mean to diminish that. It's not only admin or developer roles that are available, but there is a whole ecosystem of ISVs, partners, everything that are around, in and around this ecosystem. So there's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah. Because I read your blog about adapting to the evolving Salesforce landscape, and you mentioned a few things that people should avoid, and I think you mentioned it there, but also like quick certification probably seems to have been a trend that is now people moving away from, and also you mentioned passive networking. Like, could you go into maybe a little bit of detail there as well?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of social media hype around people that are like, oh, I got 30 certifications in 30 days. It's not feasible. And we're deep enough into this market right now where that's not really what companies are looking for. They're looking for expertise, they're looking for value, they're looking for experience. And it's difficult because it's the cart and the horse kind of situation. You know, I don't have experience, but I need it. Give me a job, but they want experience to give you the job. So it's still something that I'm helping people work through now that are working with me on a mentorship basis. So it's a difficult time right now for anybody, honestly. I think the best thing that one can do is not focus so much on the number of certifications you have, but really kind of make sure that you're focusing on the skill set, making sure you have the foundations of Salesforce knowledge down, because then you will be able to speak to employers, potential jobs, about what value you bring. A lot of people focusing on a number of certs might not have that basic foundation down, and they can't answer a simple question for you. So that's one of the first kind of things I ask people that come to me for help. I ask them a basic set of questions, and if they're not answering that with a good knowledge and a good kind of confidence, then I kind of send them back to the drawing board.
That which kind of brings me to my next question is, like, you transitioned into consulting, am I right, in like 2015? So like what would be the scope of your consulting work now, and like who do you provide mentorship to companies or individuals or both, or how does that work at the moment?
So I was a consultant for many years, and I loved it. I worked for a few different Salesforce partners and had really great opportunities in consulting. I got to travel the world and meet people all around the world as a result of being a consultant. So it was fantastic. But 2020 kind of burned me out a little bit. When the pandemic hit, it was just rough. And I think a lot of people went through the same thing. And I started to take a look at what was stressing me out the most, and kind of making a list of, okay, here's what I love every day about my day. Here's what I don't care for so much. And what would my ideal day look like? And some of these words kept emerging. So I would pop those into LinkedIn and discovered a new path in customer success. So I transitioned into that 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and really love it. So it's a blend of my previous life of sales with married with my Salesforce life. So I get to work with clients. I get to understand what they're trying to accomplish with Salesforce. We get to roadmap how we can get them there, and then keep them up to date on, trends. AI is the big rage every day for everyone right now. So I find that this path, which is something I didn't even know when I entered the Salesforce ecosystem, has been very gratifying for me. So that's what I do day to day. So I have a book of business, and I manage those clients. And As far as the mentorship goes, that's something I've always done over the years. As I gained visibility in the ecosystem, I've always worked with anybody that reaches out to me. If you ask anyone, they'll tell you that I'm pretty accessible, and I love working with people and kind of helping them get on their way, whatever insights I can offer for them.
Brilliant. Yeah, sounds incredible. One thing I want to get onto as well is your kind of customer success work, and it's something that, you know, I think people in the industry are always kind of like, it's a challenge of like, how do you like proactively engage with, you know, customers to like anticipate their needs? Is that some area that you kind of could advise on, or your clients are maybe asking about?
Sure. The people that I work with, what I tend to value the most is, again, the relationship side. So I build that kind of trust. They see me as a trusted partner. Excuse me. Oh, I'm losing my voice already this morning. They see me as a trusted advisor. So, you know, I kind of love having that conversation. We can talk about anything. I get the idea of what is keeping you at night? What is your boss asking of you that I might help you with? So that's a common conversation that I have with people. Everyone's dealing with a lot right now, the current market, shrinking budgets, and trying to get more with less. So I try to help them figure out how to get there, how to set that roadmap and get them on the right path.
Brilliant. And you mentioned trends there, and specifically AI. Like, what trends or technology do you see kind of shaping the future of Salesforce, and perhaps just, you know, the kind of wider entity of, you know, the workplace? Well, what have you noticed in the last maybe 2-3 years, or do you see kind of coming down the road as being a big theme or topic?
Yeah, so when I started, you know, I was focused on sales and service. That's what I'm still focused on. That's still like my comfy place. I love sales and service. That's my niche, right? But the ecosystem has grown so much since I started. So there's a lot of what I see daily in my clients looking for. CPQ is always going to be in demand, I think, CPQ skills. And now recently, even the different vertical industry clouds, you know, healthcare, media, finance, all of those are in high demand and growing. Omni Studio is going to be huge. So if there's anybody that has that kind of interest in learning Omni Studio, I would highly recommend that. And then, of course, AI is on everybody's top of mind right now.
Absolutely. Like, and is there, like, for companies, I think a lot of people are kind of figuring out how to use AI and why they want to use it and when to use it. Would you have any like recommendations of like where should people kind of start in their thinking process? Because I think people might sort of kind of jump and go, "Hey, we need to start using AI." But do you have any advice there for that?
Absolutely. I've written a couple of blogs for the Rafter One website on this and how people can kind of get started, because you're right. You don't want to just dive in, because the same issues that have been issues with Salesforce over the years are going to be your same issues with AI. Data quality is probably the number one thing that companies can start with. Eliminating duplicates and inconsistencies. Those are going to trip up the AI and not give you the robust information or feeling of value that you might be looking for. So it's kind of the same advice as with every Salesforce implementation that I've worked on since 2015 is, you know, make sure your data is clean, clean up your reporting, eliminate the duplicates. You know, all of those are building the foundation so that you can get valuable data, valuable use out of your AI. When you start on that, we're doing like a free kind of assessment of people's orgs to try to get them on a roadmap to understanding what AI can do for them, what they need to start with addressing so that AI is valuable to them And in addition to that, tying the AI to their business outcomes. Putting in AI just to put in AI is not valuable. What is your business trying to reach? What goal can it help you get to? So we're trying to have those conversations and helping people understand that path.
Brilliant. Yeah, I think that sounds like very sensible. Moving back to like something that people when I interview people from the Salesforce world and they're MVP like 3 times or more, people always ask, how do I get to be an MVP? And maybe you could give us a bit of a insight into your work and that awarding that you've received.
Yeah, so I think that that's the number one question that I've been asked in my career is how do I get to be an MVP? And my answer is always the same: is I don't know. There is nothing. There is no set path that I can tell you to follow, other than be yourself, be genuine. MVP is awarded from the community, so you're getting nominated by your peers in the community for the work that you're doing, whether it be as a user group leader or mentoring or running a course or teaching people how to use Salesforce, whatever it might be. A few years ago, I don't see it happening too much now, but for a few years, there was a lot of people that were kind of campaigning like it was running for office. And that's kind of the number one way to not earn a nomination. So you're nominated by your peers. All of those nominations get voted on by current MVPs. That group then gets filtered up to Salesforce, and Salesforce then makes the final designation. And so it's really not like a checklist that I can tell you, do this, do this, do this. It doesn't work that way. And I would say to people that have this goal in mind, act as if you already are. Whatever MVP means to you, act as if you already have that title, okay? And you'll have the satisfaction in your career whether you have the title or you don't.
Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense as well, because when people achieve anything, there's you just have to be kind of determined and be ready to do the work. And I think your hard work just ends up being pays off in the end. And so congratulations to you on that. Which brings me probably to my final question, would be about the Salesforce community. It's such a vibrant community. There's so much happening there. I didn't get to go to Dreamforce this year, but a couple of my colleagues did, and they were like, this is like the Super Bowl of the Salesforce world. There's so much things happening. Like, what do you think makes the Salesforce community so unique and so vibrant?
Well, the people, we have all such varied backgrounds. And I know for myself, getting involved in this ecosystem really changed my world, changed my entire life. Indirectly, I met my husband because I'm in this ecosystem. You know what I mean? Like, it's very life-changing. And I think a lot of us that are in this ecosystem feel very grateful for all of the opportunities that this has afforded us. And so it really kind of gives you a sense of, hey, I'm going to help someone else come into this because this is fantastic. This has been life-changing. And how do I get more people involved? Because I didn't have that when I started. I had no idea, and I just jumped in feet first. And luckily, it worked out for me that way. But I don't want to have to see other people struggle that way. So if I can help somebody, I will. And I think that most of us that are in this community feel the same way. That's what makes it kind of fantastic.
Maybe if I was just shoot on one final question, it is like Trailhead is, something that you probably didn't have at the time. And you say you printed off, probably, I don't know how big that book was, but Trailhead is now, would you be an advocate for it now? It's your friend now, right? It's an ally for people who are perhaps new like myself or other people who are maybe only 1 or 2 years into their Salesforce journey.
Yeah, I love Trailhead. It's really good for me because I don't work like hands-on configuration so much, and I need to kind of quickly get up to speed on all of the numerous changes that go on so that I can speak intelligently to my clients. So Trailhead is always my first stop. I have Google Alerts set up so that anything that comes across for Salesforce, I get that. I attend webinars. There's a wealth of free information for people that are looking for it, that can help you skill up and really kind of get your depth of knowledge and get you on the right path.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks a lot for taking the time to chat to us, and really appreciate that.
Well, thank you so much for having me.